Welcome back, Nighttime Nights. So last lesson, we categorized a lot of different lights into two categories, acceptable and unacceptable lights. But there are actually a lot of different kinds of lights that go beyond these two categories. So next lesson, we're going to start taking an inventory of our outdoor lights. But before that, we want to know what kind of light fixtures and light sources we're going to be seeing. So today, we're going to talk about some common light fixtures and light sources that you might see. And we're also going to talk about different qualities that these lights have. And there are three main categories that we are going to be looking for, three main qualities that we're going to be looking for in each of our lights. And that is wattage, color, and lumens. So before we look at different fixtures, let's break down those terms. So first, wattage. Wattage is measured in watts, and it measures how much power a light uses. So a light's wattage tells us how much power or energy a light needs to light up. And if a light's wattage is 50 watts, then that means that it needs 50 watts of power or energy to create that light. Next, lumens. Lumens measure how much light a light gives off, rather than how much energy it uses. And lumens relate to the wattage only when we are talking about the same kind of bulb from the same company. So how are watts different than lumens? Watts tell us how much energy a light uses and therefore how much money a light needs to power that energy and give it that light. On the other hand, lumens tell us how much light a light will give off, so how bright that light is. So wattage tells us how much energy a light uses, whereas lumens tell us how bright the light is. So we've talked a lot about a light bulb's color. A light's color temperature is measured in kelvins. And this illustration shows the range of light temperatures. Lights with a lower Kelvin rating are considered warmer lights and usually create less glare. In general, the higher a light's Kelvin rating is, the more light in the blue wavelength it contains. And again, a light's color temperature is measured in kelvins, which you can see at the top of this illustration. Okay, so now that we've talked about the three main qualities of different lights, remember that's wattage, lumens, and color, let's talk about the common fixtures and light bulbs that you will see. The first kind of light fixture is called a barn light. Where do you think we would find this light? This kind of light fixture is often used in yards, parking lots, or as a light to make people feel safe. But this light fixture creates a lot of glare and general light pollution. And we know that glare actually makes us feel less safe because our eyes aren't able to see past the light source. Remember that picture in Lesson 3 of the light in the backyard? Is there a way to make a barn light better? If we need to replace the fixture, what should we look for in a new light fixture? Hopefully you were able to think about that. We could shield the light and change the bulb to a lower wattage bulb of the same type. We could also replace the whole fixture with a shielded fixture using a different light source. The next kind of light fixture is called a cobra head. Where do you think this kind of light would be used? This light looks like a street light or another common outdoor light. There are two kinds of cobra head light fixtures. The first is a drop lens. As you can see in this picture, a drop lens fixture is called that because the reflective lens is dropping down out of the bottom of the cobra head. A flat lens cobra head is when the reflective lens is flat and doesn't come out of the cobra head. Thinking about the 5 principles, what do you think is wrong with the cobra head light fixtures? How could we improve these lights? Go ahead and pause here and think about ways that these lights could be improved. Alright, the drop lens creates a lot of glare because we can see the reflective lens coming out from the bottom of the fixture. Although the flat lens isn't shining light upwards, it is not always targeted. The flat lens fixture is often spilling light beyond where it is needed. To improve these lights, we could definitely shield the sides of the lights to direct the lights better and stop glare. The next kind of light fixture is called a shoebox style. Where do you think we could find this kind of light fixture? We could find this light in a lot of different parking lots. If the light source in this fixture does not stick out of the bottom of the shoebox, it probably doesn't create a lot of glare, which is good. The best way we could improve this light is by focusing on the color temperature of the lights. A lot of parking lots leave their lights on all night, and so we don't want those insects to be attracted to those blue lights the entire night. The next kind of light fixture is called a wall pack. This kind of fixture is found on the side of a lot of buildings. What do you notice is wrong about these lights? How could we fix or replace these lights? Take a minute to pause this video and think about what could be improved about these lights. Alright, all 5 of the principles could be applied to a normal wall pack. First, we should make sure that the wall pack, just like all of our lighting, serves a purpose. Then, we should shield these wall packs to direct them down to prevent glare and to prevent increasing light pollution. Next, we should be sure that the light bulb is not too bright and is a warm color temperature. Finally, we should add a motion sensor to the wall pack so that it isn't on when it is not being used. Alright, the next kind of light fixture is called a spot or floodlight. Spot or floodlights are very common outdoor lights. What do you notice is wrong with this picture of a spot or floodlight? How could this light be improved? Take a minute to pause and think about this. Good job. These lights definitely need to be targeted. We don't want the light going everywhere, and we only want the light going where we want it to. We could also change the color temperature and brightness of these lights. Now, let's look at the 6 most common kinds of outdoor light sources. First up is the halogen bulb. These are the bulbs in our headlights, some outdoor sports fields floodlights, and home spotlights. Metal halides are used in street and parking lot lights. High-pressure sodium, or HPS lights, used to be the most common type of street light. You've probably seen high-pressure sodium lights in shoebox and cobra head style lights. Incandescent bulbs are the light bulbs that Thomas Edison invented. These light bulbs are extremely inefficient and used to be the standard type of bulb for most residential fixtures. Compact fluorescent light bulbs, or CFL bulbs, are also used in homes. CFL bulbs are efficient little spirals that give off white light. CFL bulbs contain mercury, a toxic chemical, and must be disposed of correctly to avoid harming the environment. Finally, LED lights have become really popular recently. These lights save a lot of energy, but they are usually very blue light heavy. LED lights could be in any of the light fixtures. LED lights easily create glare when they are in the white or blue wavelength. So they almost always need to be recessed in the fixture or have a shield around them to prevent glare. LED lights are the most efficient types of lights, whereas incandescent bulbs are the least efficient types of lights. This means that by using LED lights, we can save energy and therefore the money that energy costs. So now that we've learned all about the different light fixtures and light sources that we might see outside, let's think about how the 5 principles affect each of these fixtures and bulbs. How do you think it will affect them? We're going to go to a quick demonstration about these different fixtures and see how the 5 principles affect them. Hey there, nighttime knights. Are you ready for another demo? I've got on my nighttime face paint, so I'm all set. Okay, we're going to be looking at some fixtures and then thinking through the 5 principles to evaluate each of our fixtures. So first we've got a barn light. So we're going to think about useful first. This could be mounted on a pole, and it could light up a lot of different things. It could light up a door or a barn or anything like that. Next we've got a floodlight. Again, we see this in a lot of different places. We've got some outside of buildings or lighting up signs, that kind of thing. And then this is a good replacement to a wall pack. So it would be pointed down like this, and we could find it in a parking lot or outside of a building. So now let's look at targeted. So principle number 2, this is an unshielded barn light. So it would be pointed down like this, and as we can see, it would be sending out light a lot of different places. And it would be sending it up and out. So that isn't very good. So we can always use this shield, and we can put it over that barn light, and it directs the light down so that the light will be targeted. And then next we've got the floodlight. So this isn't super targeted because if it's not pointed down, then it could be pointing up. Sometimes we'll see it lighting up a sign, so it'll be pointed up like this. And that's no good because that's just sending light up into the sky, creating light pollution. If it's pointed down, it is somewhat shielded, but it's still sending light out to the sides. So we want to make sure that it is pointed down to wherever we want it. And then next, for this replacement to a wall pack, this is really great because if we are looking at it from the side, then we wouldn't be able to see the light source. Although it might be better if we could add a little shield here so that it's pointed down, but it is still a really good light because it is pointed down, and so it is quite targeted, and we always want a light to be targeted. So next, controlled. For all of these lights, it is the same. We want to make sure that it is only on when we need it. So that could look like a light switch where we just turn it on if we want it, turn it off when we're done. Or that could be a motion detector, so when it senses someone nearby, it turns on, anything like that. All right, let's finish up looking at our principles. So we're going to look at brightness and color. This is the barn light that we were looking at earlier, but as you can see, we traded out this unshielded fixture for this shield. And we can see that warm colored light coming out of the bottom. So that means that our color temperature is really good. It isn't too white. It doesn't have a whole lot of light in the blue wavelength, so that's really good. And then for brightness, this barn light would likely be mounted on a 20 or 24 foot pole. And when it is 20 or 24 feet up, then this light is creating a 200-foot circle of light coming down below it. That's a lot of light. So when we shield it, because this light fixture is more targeted, we can change out that light bulb to use less watts and have less lumens so that it is emitting less light. And that actually, because this fixture now is targeted, we don't need to be emitting so much light because this unshielded light is sending light all over. But when it is targeted, it is only pointed down, so that lets us save energy by using less light. All right, let's look at brightness and color for this flood or spotlight. So first, let's look at color. So we can see from all of this light down here, it is a really white light. So that means that it has a lot of light in the blue wavelength. But we don't want that because that's harmful to us and animals and plants. So we want to make sure that it is a warm color temperature and not so white. And then now for brightness, this is so bright. If I go to point it over in that direction, we could probably see for a long, long distance. And so we want to make sure that we're looking at what this light is being used for. Because it is possible that maybe it's really far away from what we're lighting up, or we want to light up a really big area. So this might be the right brightness. but sometimes we don't need to light up a whole lot of things. So we want to make sure that it is bright enough to light up everything we need, but not so bright that it'll blind us if we look at it. Alright, so this is our replacement for our wall pack. So remember, we're looking at principles 3 and 5. So first, for brightness, this particular fixture allows us to choose the kind of bulb that we put into it. So that means that when we're selecting our light bulb, we want to make sure that we choose one that isn't so bright that we're sending excess light everywhere and creating light pollution, but we also want to be able to light up whatever we are lighting up. And since we can also choose the light bulb for color, we want to make sure that the light bulb's Kelvin rating is a warm color temperature so that it doesn't have too much light in the blue wavelength and is harming our health. So now we know all about the common light fixtures and sources that we might see during our inventory and the 3 main qualities that all of these lights have. But how do we connect those two? How do we figure out what wattage, color, and lumens those light fixtures and sources have? So to find out a light's wattage, there are a couple things that we can do. One thing we can do is we can look on the actual light fixture or light source, because oftentimes it will tell us how many watts that light takes. If our lighting doesn't, then we can talk to a property manager or a lighting expert about what that light's wattage is. So once we know what kind of lamp we're dealing with and we know the wattage of that lamp, we're able to use this chart to figure out and estimate the amount of lumens that light produces. And then finally, color. To estimate a light's Kelvin rating, we can actually use an app. This app is called Neuris LV Light Wellness, and I suggest that you get it. Using this app, we are able to point it at any kind of light, and it will estimate that light's Kelvin rating for us. If we don't have the app or we want to just check what the app told us, then we can also use that Kelvin rating diagram that I showed earlier and which is also in the handout. You did a really great job learning about the 5 common light fixtures and the 6 common light bulbs today. So now we're going to end with a labeling game. So in the Level 2 downloadable handout packet, you will find labels and pictures of different light fixtures and light bulbs. And I want you to print and cut these out and then match each of the labels of the light fixtures and sources with its picture. And there is 1 label per picture. Alright, so have fun with that labeling game, and I'll see you next lesson, Nighttime Knights.